Hello and welcome to the Philippines. This video is about a trip I took, the logistics, how to go about it. And I took a trip from Cebu City, from the South Bus Terminal, downtown Cebu City, over to Toledo City on the west side of Cebu. Took a ferry over to San Carlos City, got on a bus there, and took me around and over to Bacolod City. Now eventually I plan on, after a few days in Bacolod, I plan to take a trip to Iloilo City as well. We are stopping along the way to pick up passengers and freight. Now here are these guys. This is, I think, like the fifth bag that they're putting on underneath the bus. And these people, we stopped down the road, picked them up, and they're I'm not sure if they're riding or if they're just shipping a lot of this stuff. And so anyway, the aisle, by the time we got south of ways, it was standing room only, a lot of freight in the aisleway, as well as people sitting and standing around that freight. It was interesting when I showed up at I took the taxi, 100 pesos, to the South Bus Terminal. And as soon as I walked up, didn't even get in the terminal. And the guy said, "Where are you going?" I said, "I'm going to Toledo City." There was a bus just leaving, halfway out into the roadway. It's going to Toledo. So I got on, and there was a front seat, very front seat here. So I took that and was able to do some video along the way. Anyway, 70 pesos, $1.40 US to go the 2 hours it took from Cebu City over to Toledo City. Now I found out that I could have gone into the terminal. I could have gone on an air-conditioned bus that would have taken me all the way to Bacolod. In fact, when I got over to San Carlos, and I'll show you that later, I ended up getting on that bus that ended up getting on the ferry. The bus got on the ferry. This was on a Wednesday, so there wasn't a lot of traffic. There wasn't a holiday. Usually holidays and weekends you'll get a lot more passengers on these buses. And anyway, so had quite a bit of room in the bus. In fact, behind me anyway, they were packed in pretty good. People getting on and off. Some people going up across the mountains as we went west. Would ride for half a mile, a little over a kilometer or so, and get off because they don't have regular jeepneys and hobble transportation. Here we are. We went down to Naga City, and then we took a right up over the mountains. As we made that right-hand turn, there was a police checkpoint, and turned out it was primarily for motorbikes and tricycles, it appeared, or at least motorbikes, and checking for driver's license, registration, and those types of things. Anyway, and then some places, oftentimes you get into a school zone, and they turn it into just a one lane. They put barriers in either side, so you have to kind of do an S curve around there. I suspect if at night, in fact, if you're renting a motorbike driving at night, that would be difficult to see. So just be aware of that. There can be all sorts of obstacles and animals getting in your way. So be very careful. And then, of course, infrastructure, new road construction or repairs. You like to see infrastructure unless you're driving and it slows you down. And there's a lot of road work going on. It's really too bad that while they're doing this, they can't widen the roads as well. There were a couple areas where they were putting a little bit of a shoulder on the sides of roads. That certainly helps. But most of the island of Cebu has very narrow roads, and they're just 2 lanes. There are a few areas in the cities, close to the cities, where they are 4 lanes, but they're usually pretty congested. And anyway, it would be nice to see them be able to widen some of these roads, at the very least put passing lanes in some areas. You get behind a really slow moving truck, especially over on Negros Island going to Bacolod. A lot of very slow moving sugarcane trucks. I don't know if that sugarcane is that heavy or if the trucks are just that underpowered that they're just really, really moving slowly. We saw a couple accidents along the way. This guy, I'm not sure what happened, if he blew a front tire or got off in some, fell asleep or what the deal was. And here's a section where they actually had room to put in a shoulder and transportation up into the mountains. People haul goods any place they can. If you can fit it on the back of a motorbike or over the front gas tank, you can haul it. This was a 2-hour trip in the bus, and it was not air conditioned, but it was pretty comfortable. It wasn't that hot, even when we stopped for construction. Anyway, we're coming into Toledo here, decent sized town, and got a huge power plant there. There's at least one of my subscribers lives there, if not more, very close to that area. But it's got it's a province town, and here we are. We're just about to the. We're going to pull up to a bus terminal, and then it's catch a pedicab ride on up to the terminals way over there, over on the right, the ferry terminal. And I could see there was a ferry leaving just as we were coming around the bend there, and so I just missed one. I had to wait almost 2 hours. Hour and 40 minutes, I think, for the next one to leave. Two different companies. One has a fast craft, hour and a half across, and the other one is about 2 hours. It was actually a little less than 2 hours. But this is the bus terminal, pretty close, and there's more than enough people with tricycles, pedicabs, wanting to give you a ride wherever you want to go when you get off that bus. You're still in the process of getting off when they're trying to grab you and line you up for a ride someplace. And then they have the vans for hire too. When I asked how much, they told me 120. 120. I said, no, not 120. No, one person, 20 pesos. Not 120 pesos. So 20 pesos, 40 US cents, half a mile or so, a kilometer, and they do have a number of jeepneys lined up going different places or just taking their break. And the V-hires back there at the terminal, the vans for hire, a lot of them have set routes to go on too. They usually cost just a little bit more, maybe 10 pesos more. They cram people in there. They're 12 to 15 passenger vans, and they will stuff people and freight in there. It can get a little uncomfortable. Some of the drivers are a little risky, very aggressive, a little dangerous, just like the bus drivers. Some of the bus drivers are much more aggressive than others, and so it just depends on what you get, how comfortable you are. If you're a big person, the vans are probably going to be a lot more cramped than what you want. I'm 5'8", and they can be a little cramped for me. Anyway, public market along here, lots of food eateries. When we get to the terminal, there's just outside the terminal, down within a block or so, there's a McDonald's, which I went over and had a sandwich. There's Jollibee, there's Chow King, a number of eating places that you can choose from. And I think this is the public market off to the left here. Most towns the size of Toledo have a hospital, but anything serious, they're going to send you back to Cebu City, Mandaue City. So keep that in mind as you think about moving someplace. Toledo passenger terminal here, and for the ferries, and there was a 15 peso 30 cent terminal fee up and above your ticket. I went tourist class, which gave me much more comfortable seats. in the air-conditioned area, and 210 pesos for that, $4.20 US, and lots of souvenir type things. Paslabang, is that what they call it? To bring home to your relatives. These vehicles, look at that truck. Somebody's got some cash, and that bus, all these vehicles, they're coming off of the ferry. They just came across from Bacolod. Motorbikes, cars, pickups, big trucks, buses, and little infrastructure going on over there to the left. Looks like they're putting in some new drainage tile. And anyway, they finally allowed us. I went to get something to eat at McDonald's. I came back and I asked them. I thought, he's going to check my ticket here, my little terminal fee stub. I asked them when we were going to board, because I'd been gone for 40 minutes or so. I thought maybe they already board. And a couple security guys come up to me and said, "Just go sit down." A little bit, come across as being a little rude. They thought I was being rude because I was asking, and I told them, "Hey, I had left for a while. I didn't know whether you'd already boarded." And at that moment, they gave the announcement to start boarding, so I was about the first one out here. A little bit of a walk out there, not so bad. If you needed a wheelchair or something, they could probably provide something like that. There are a couple of fast craft off to the left here. These are fast craft. So they alternate, I think. They had different time schedules when the fast crafts would go versus the large one on the right there is the one I took. And so I'm not sure what the capacity is, but this one that I took, the bigger one of the bigger ones that I've ever taken. I've taken one ferry, Coke Leone, that was larger than that. And number of seating arrangement. Regular seats were available. Wooden seats, I'll show you those. They had a deck, one whole deck, that had bunks in it. Bunk beds, basically. The whole deck was covered with those. Show you those, so you can get that. That's like standard or economy with bunks, or economy with seating. And then where I went, the tourist section was air conditioned with much more comfortable seats. Now look at that first step. I have noticed that the shipping companies, ferry companies, have not spent too much time thinking about handicapped people, making them accessible to people with handicaps, but one way or another they managed to get people in and up these steps, I guess. And here's a look at the seating. They actually have these seats marked with numbers as well. You can see the numbers on the back there, and I didn't realize it at first. I actually had a seat number. I sat someplace else so I could get away from the air conditioning blowing on me. But anyway, these are kind of hard seated, the economy seats. You can buy them. Right up front, this is the tourist class, and even some of the fast ferries have a business class, tourist class, with more comfortable seats like this in air-conditioned spaces. Some ferries don't give you much choice. Many of them do have an air-conditioned section and an open-air section. When you're moving with air flowing, a lot of times the non-air-con section isn't bad at all, unless you're sitting on the sunny side. And they had some television program going the whole time. I was listening to a book. And let's go up top and take a look up there where the bunks are. I think they also had cabins available for 2 people, for 4 people, and probably even for more than that. But this is a whole deck full of bunk beds, and they've got the foam mattresses with thicker foam at where you would put your head for kind of like a pillow area. A couple of years ago when I went to Dumaguete from Cebu City, I took Coke Leone, the big yellow ferries, and they had 2 decks with this type of thing. But they also had cabins you could get for one or 4 or 6 people, 12 people, I think. So there are lots of options on these bigger ferries, and then that's the big power plant over that. I think they're over there. I think they're building another one as well. The ferry ride itself was smooth and pretty uneventful, and I was able to listen to a couple hours of a book. And here are the vehicles coming off the roll-on, roll-off ferry. Trucks, buses, vehicles, motorbikes, anything and everything. And 2 buses that had come from Cebu City got on the ferry and are going off to Bacolod. So I had asked the gentleman up on deck where the terminal was, where I could find a bus going to Bacolod, and he said, "There's 2 of them down below. Just wait outside and you can jump on." So that's what I did. And here comes one of the buses out now. Now, he was hesitant to drive up over that. He wanted them to rearrange to put some better padding down there. The lip there coming off of the ramp, depending upon the tide, how high the tide is, going out, coming in, can be quite a drop there, and he's afraid he's going to bang the bottom of his vehicle if they don't reposition some of that stuff. So they moved it around a little bit, I think. And anyway, there's 2 of these Cirrus buses, comfortable, newer, air-conditioned buses, and they didn't have the noise so loud that it was uncomfortable. So I got on one of these buses, and we actually had to get on. We went about a block, had to get off, and I'll show you that. We had to get off the bus and step on that little aqua-colored pad. Apparently there's some disinfectant on it, and that's because they're trying to keep the African swine disease that is killing so many pigs across Asia, and it is spreading in the Philippines as well. There's, I think, over hundreds of thousands of pigs now that have been killed, and they're trying to keep it from spreading any further. I think it's primarily up in Manila area, I believe, but they've also found some in Cebu, and so anyway, we had to get off the bus and walk across that. Not sure if everybody did it or not, so nobody was really supervising the process. But anyway, lots of people selling goods as you get off of buses and as you get on them, trying to sell you food and souvenirs, sunglasses. This bus was much more comfortable than the first bus I was on, but they were both interesting experiences. And lots of room in here, so we didn't have a crowd at all. Some people would get on and off different stops along the way. And I asked him, I just wanted to make sure I was on the right bus going to Bacolod. He assured me that I was. Lots of sugarcane over there on Negros Island, where Bacolod is. Many of the fields looked like they'd been plowed with mechanical tractors instead of carabao. And here's just some of the hundreds and hundreds of trucks that haul that sugarcane around. And also solar panels, several different areas with large areas of solar panels. Philippines has a lot of those. From San Carlos City up around over to Bacolod, we took the long way around, up around the north, and passed through many towns and cities along the way, and they are bustling with people. And this was probably like between 4 and 5 in the afternoon, so lots of people getting out of school and going home. Lots of activities going on. Anyway, I was surprised. I like taking land transportation because there's so much you can see when you're not in an airplane, and lots of opportunities for some of you that want to live in the provinces. Escalante City, Victoria City, Toledo City over here on Negros. Just north of, in fact, going through Toledo City, just north of Bacolod City, some sort of barangay, I believe it's a barangay festival of some sort. It's always religious oriented, and each of these little floats, whatever you call them, displays, or they're being led in the front. They've got somebody with a generator on wheels pulling that in front to light up all those lights. Anyway, some sort of event going on there. My time in Bacolod City has been quite interesting so far. That lady there has been following me for about 2 blocks. Uh, Within a block of my hotel, she started following me. Sir, do you want girl? Do you want girl? No, I don't want girl. Leave me alone. Anyway, she kept following me. I turned around a couple times and said, please, leave me alone. Go away. I'm not interested. Um, anyway, lots of, there seems to be like a big church over there. There's a college and there's a big church. Over to the left, there's a big, looks like a huge public park area. Lots of people hanging out there. And I was told by person at the restaurant in the hotel that I'm staying at that it is safe to walk around Bacolod. Every street corner has a police officer. And I've asked a couple other people, is it safe to walk around Bacolod? They said, yeah, it's safe. So anyway, friendly people for the most part. One thing I did notice, even over in Toledo City, I got a lot more looks and stares than I do in Cebu City. Cebu City, people are used to seeing all sorts of different foreigners. Over here, less so. Mike Philippine from my Philippine journey is going to have to get out more. And also Lanahawk over here, get out more so they see you foreigners. Get used to seeing foreigners here. James, he's living there now, one of our subscribers. Anyway, a couple malls down there, big SM mall. I walked down there, I got something to eat. I saw an Ayala mall further down the way. The first hotel I was going to stay on, I just pulled one up, a pension house online. Told the taxi driver that's where I want to go. We pulled up there. It had burned down. So my luck, so I had to find another one in the area. Fortunately, they had a room available when I got there. Of course, I will be doing additional videos about this trip, and then I hope to head over to Iloilo after 2 or 3 days in Bacolod. Anyway, I'm going to show you the map of the route for those of you who are curious. If you're not curious, thank you for watching up till this point. And please like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Right, here's a map of my route. And I started here at the South Bus Terminal, downtown Cebu City. This trek down here to City of Naga took about 1 hour. Coming over here to Toledo City took a 2nd hour. And that cost me 70 pesos, $1.40, for that 2-hour trip there. Got on a ferry here, cross over here to San Carlos City. Got on a different bus. Could have got on that same bus, could have just had one bus ride from Cebu City. I'll tell you a little more about that a little later. And I had to set this for walking, and I did not walk the 224 kilometers for 42 hours because, well, I'll show you what happens here when I put in that I'm taking an automobile. It changes my route. It takes me over here to Toledo City instead of taking the car onto a roll-on, roll-off. Maybe they're not allowed. I think they are, though. Sends me all the way down here to Briley, Molbol maybe, and across over here, and then all the way up. So let's go back, and when I put bus on here, it did not allow multiple destinations. So go back to walking, and I found that I was able to get the accurate layout. Anyway, ferry across here, got on a bus. Did not have to go to the bus terminal because there were 2 buses going to Bacolod on the ferry, and I thought that the ferry would or that the bus would go right across over here, right into Bacolod. I was wrong. The buses, apparently they have lots of passengers to pick up in Escalante City, and we didn't take this route. We took this route up through Escalante City, Toboso, Cebu City, and around here, Victoria City, Toledo City, and into Bacolod. The whole trip took me 10 hours. I had estimated 9 hours absolutely the fastest. So that wasn't too bad. Now, you can get on a ferry, but it's a night ferry, and I presume it takes 12 hours. I presume it goes up around this way and over to Bacolod. Not absolutely positive. Uh, but I don't like to travel at night. There's too much to see during the daytime, so I chose to take the bus and the ferry, and I did see a lot of interesting sights along the way. This ferry ride cost me 210 pesos, $4.20 US cents, because I chose the tourist area, and which was air conditioned and quite comfortable seating. This trip in the bus cost me 295, just about 300, so 300 to 6 US dollars. So that's the first leg of what I hope to be a week or longer trip. Hope to hit Iloilo. I would really like to hit Guimaras Island. Uh, anyway, thank you for watching. Please like the video. Please share the video. Please subscribe. Safe travels to you all wherever you're at, and I'll see you next time.